Hello, my name is Caitlin Turnboo, and I am the author of Super is Potent, and I also run this channel. And in this video, we are talking about whether or not you should write a series. This is something some writers know automatically, others don't. Others know whether they're going to write a standalone or not. So let's just go ahead and hop right to it. What is a series? Well, a series is a sequence of books that having certain characteristics in common to where they resonate as one group. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys know what a series is while you're watching this video. The thing is readers love series, okay? Series make more money. I mean, there's more books to buy and people typically stick with you. Also, a series is a way you can get people to be loyal to you as an author. So if you write a series and then you go to write another series that's either shorter or even longer, just because you wrote your previous series, people have respect for you, which is another form of marketing, which is in a different video. When you're thinking about to write a series, you might want to, or write anything, you might want to think about, this includes genre or series. What do you read? Typically, you're going to enjoy what you write, and you're going to want to write what you read. I read series. I do read standalone, but I also read series. That's why Supers is a 10-book series. And typically the last book is just for me. But should I write a series? Should you write a series? Well, it really comes down to just one question. Can you and your story hold out long enough for a series? A book takes a long time to write, unless you're awesome like Chris Fox and a few other authors. Then it takes you a month or even a few weeks. But if you're like me and 80% of writers out there, I made that number up, it's not statistically, then writing a book takes a long time, to a year or even 2 years. Especially if you're going traditional publishing, it definitely takes a long time. When you're writing a series, you have to be devoted to the whole thing. That's like, depending what you have. If you have a trilogy, that's 3 whole books you have to be consistent in. You have to be consistent in your tone, your characters, your style. None of that can change because in the beginning, your first book is a promise that the rest of the series is going to be that way. If you switch it up, your readers are going to leave you. So if you are not devoted to the way you are writing, or you are not devoted to your story, like you think you're going to get bored with it, then you need to not write one. You need to find a way to have it a standalone, or throw the idea away, but that's not my job to tell you. A list of things that I have written down in my script that you should think of when you're wanting to think of what do I need to be consistent of when answering this question, can I be consistent throughout the series? You need to be consistent in your characters. If you're building especially fantasy novels, you need to be consistent in your world. You need to be consistent in the plot. Usually in a series, there's this overall main plot throughout the whole thing. So that needs to be consistent and needs to constantly be enticed throughout all the books. You need to be consistent in your tone, your mood, your point of view. If you want to switch which character is narrator, people have succeeded in that, but I mean like third person or first person, Are you going to go third person limited in the first one? It needs to be that way through the whole thing, because if you're like me, I don't typically like to read third person books. I still will, but typically I don't. I like first person. So if you go first person in the first one, and then you move to third person, yeah, I'm not going to stick with you. I'm sorry. I expect a first person throughout the whole thing. Each book is its own story. It has its own little subplots that makes it a story of its own, a book of its own. But, a series, there's an overall story. The most common example, Harry Potter. Okay, everybody pretty much knows who that is, what book series that is. Okay, he's being hunted by his parents' murderer. That's about all I'm going to say about it. Throughout the whole story. But in each book, basically, the school is being invaded or attacked by different things that contribute to the main plot, but they're a subplot of their own. That's what makes each school year an interesting story. In my first book, there's an attack. And an attack like that is not going to happen again throughout each book. That was the main plot of that book, but still there's an overall plot that's covering all of the books that eventually will be resolved at the end. And typically it usually goes in order according to time, based off what order the book's going. So most of the time it's years later. Mine is years later. Mine is like, my character starts out in the first book being 17, 18 years old, and then he's in his late 20s by the time the series ends. If you ask yourself the question of, can I hold out? And your answer is yes, I'm going to write a series. You need to plan it. Do not start writing your book. If you've already started and you thought it was going to be a standalone, and you're like, you know what? It would be a good idea if I made this into a series. I am going to put a red flag out there unless you're awesomely good at it. That's not a good idea. You need to, from the beginning, plan out the series. What is each book going to be about? You don't need to go into a detailed outline on each one, but you do for sure need to have you need to know which characters are going to be in there, the big problems that are going to happen, and if you do not do this, you risk getting bored with the story and cutting it off short, or rushing the ending, which will absolutely turn your readers off, or even making a mistake in your tone or mood, or all that big list that I said, and I'm not saying it again because then I have to look at this. You definitely don't want to scare them away. So planning it will make your process a lot easier. You don't have to actually do a detailed outline until you're ready to write that specific book, where you do the process all over again. But you do for sure need to know what each one is about. And my first one, I know that my characters are going to be attacked. And my second one, I know that another character is going to die. Spoilers, there's going to be a character that dies. Okay? So, I already kind of know that. I know already a few scenes that are going to happen that's going to create the second book. And so that way, when I actually get to the second book, that I'm going to actually build the story around and do the outline and do all that stuff. And I know that for the third and the fourth and the fifth. There's 10. So that is nice and short. Actually, compared to my video camera, it's not short. Okay, that's basically what you do. You gotta ask yourself the question, and you need to plan. You should totally just go and subscribe to me right now, because upcoming, I will be posting a video pretty soon on how to plan a series, which is very important if you're going to do a series. And I'm also going to kind of go on the guide on how to write a series. And the planning will be mentioned in this video, and the planning one, of course, and how to write it, how to keep yourself consistent. And so if you're wanting to master the art of writing series, it would be good for you to go check those out. So you should just totally subscribe to me, and then right next to that subscribe button somewhere, okay, maybe not next to it, but wherever it is, you should click that bell, because then you're going to totally get all the rest of my stuff, and you'll become a better writer and a better organizer, and you won't be so busy all the time. That's just a hint, because it would make me happy, and you want to make me happy. Okay, you get the point. I want you to subscribe, and I'm marketing my stuff. Anyway, so I'm serious about the part. I am making a video. I'm currently working on making the video on how to plan your series and how to write a series. And it's very important that you go check those out, and they will be coming up in the next few weeks. And if not, I have some other good stuff, so go ahead and check out the rest of it. In my story, in the first book, there's an attack that doesn't take place, or really 100% resonates with the rest, I'm going to restart that. Okay.